Hi, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us in this very special episode of Kaffee and Kuchen with International in Germany podcast. Today we have a very special guest. We have Jen. Jen from simpleGermany. Hi, Jen.
Hello, Mohamed. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you are not familiar with Jen, Jen is a founder, along with her partner Yvonne, of a community, a YouTube channel, simpleGermany. It's an online community that focuses on giving tricks and tips and information about living in Germany. It's focused on internationals, totally in English. Topics like insurance, accommodation, work, learning the language, studying, and so on are discussed in this channel. Of course, the link to this you will find under the video. You are very welcome to check and see their content. So, Jen, you have been international for a long time. You come originally from Guatemala City in Guatemala. And if people are not familiar with Guatemala, it's a country in Central America, so it's between North America and South America. Native language there is Spanish. And you moved to Europe some long time ago, but you didn't move directly to Germany. You moved first to Budapest in Hungary, as far as I know. You had there a career, you were stable, but then you made a shift again from Budapest to Düsseldorf in Germany to start your life as an international in Germany. And after you moved, you made a career change again, so you moved to a better career, a different career, and then a third time you made a change to let go of your career and start your full-time content creator journey. So there are a lot of things that you have done, a lot of interesting things, and there are many angles that we can look at your journey. But as we are very focused in your international journey as an international living in Germany, we'll focus on the time when you were in Budapest, where you had a career, and then you decided to move here in Germany, in Düsseldorf. So what happened at this time? Did you feel that this is not enough? This is not what I left my country for? Did you in the beginning have in mind that I need to be in Germany at the end, and this was just a step? How did you feel back then?
Yes, so my motivation for leaving Guatemala were very strong. I definitely wanted to leave my country for a better quality of life,
Hmm.
especially in three areas. One of them is to be able to be openly queer and
Hmm.
love another woman, but not only that, but marry by law
Hmm.
another woman, which is not possible in my home country.
Hmm.
Second reason, I was looking for a safe place to live, not
Hmm.
because I'm queer, but Guatemala City tends, at least when I lived there, was a very violent city, a lot
Hmm.
of crime and violence. And that touched my life personally multiple times.
Hmm.
And I didn't want to deal with that anymore. And third was definitely a better career opportunity. So I was looking for those three things. And
Hmm.
Budapest was the very first door that opened for me in Europe. And it was never my end goal to finish in Budapest
Okay.
because Budapest did not meet all three criteria. It only met maybe two out of the three,
Okay.
because also in Hungary, it's not same-sex marriage is not legal.
Yeah.
So Budapest was my stepping stone, and yeah, and
And did
from
you have
there.
Germany in the beginning as your as your place you want to be, or did the opportunity come? How did it happen?
Yes, so that is a very interesting point. Looking back at my life, I think subconsciously I always wanted Germany just because without actually wanting to move to Germany, I started learning German in high school because
Okay.
I enrolled in a program that had German as a third language. And I
Okay.
thought, why not? But when I was in Budapest, I was really looking for anything kind of like in the global north, is what I have learned recently to call
Mhm.
it. So anything like UK or Germany or France was never on my list, but definitely was, let's say, between UK, Germany, even Norway. I considered, or somewhere up there in the Nordics. So my list was maybe five countries,
Mhm.
and Germany. Slowly, I started to narrow down the parameters, and Germany seemed like a super cool place. Still, at the time that I was looking to migrate to Germany, same-sex marriage was not legal.
Mhm.
However, it was legal to a civil union between same-sex couples was legal. So I already
Mhm.
saw that as a massive pro in that sense.
Okay. And what did you do back then? Was you already in your in which career did you have, and which work did you do back then?
Yeah, so I graduated as a hotel and restaurant management
Mm.
bachelor's degree, which was useless to be honest. No, that's not true. It's not useless. It got me actually the opportunity to move to Budapest. I
Yeah.
originally went there to be an English teacher for
Okay.
tourism. That's how
Okay.
they sold me the position. But when I arrived there, it turns out that no one spoke English in my class, and what I was supposed to be was an English teacher, not
Okay.
about tourism, but actually teaching English. And I was out of my depth because I had no idea how to teach English. I mean, it's not my mother tongue,
Mm.
and let alone I'm not a teacher. So I stayed in that internship for a few months, and then I transitioned into a customer service representative role, which was like technical support for Spanish speakers. And I did that for about a year in Budapest.
Mm.
And when I left Budapest and I found a job in Germany, it was as a customer service representative again for the Spanish market, from Germany to Latin America and Spain.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. So Jen, one of the focuses of our podcast is to tell people that moving in Germany isn't always like easy, and life is not very green at the beginning. So, and I remember one of your videos, you said that like life in Germany at the beginning was really tough and hard for you. So, can you talk more about this time, the first year, first 2 years? Was it easy? Was it hard? Did you face a lot of difficulties?
Yes, so I think in general,
Mm,
moving in general is hard. I think also people, if you grow up in a village and you are in a big country and you go from your village to the big city, that's a massive change.
mm-hmm,
But then add to that the complexity that you leave your country to go to a completely different country with different culture, different language, different
mm,
standards, different everything. That just adds an extra layer to complexity. So yes, the first years were actually quite interesting. At work, I was very excited and happy because I had a very close community of international friends. Pros and
okay.
cons to that.
Yeah.
Pros because I felt like I had a little family. Cons because I was in my international bubble, so I never really
Okay.
mingled a lot with Germans.
Yes.
Um, but in my experience, at least, I can speak that in my immigrant experience, there are these waves of people that come and go. So after
Mm,
2 years, more or less, my small family kind of broke apart because everyone either left back home or left
mm,
Germany, and I had not found love in those 2 years really. My career was at a point that I couldn't grow in the company that I
mm,
was in anymore. So kind of like all the three things that I was looking for, it disappeared after more or less a year and a half or 2 years mark. So I was at a crossroads of, is this really it? Did I move here for all of
mm.
this?
Yes.
Like I was about to give up, to be honest. I was about to pack my bags and go back home to Guatemala. And now looking back, I feel like that was maybe, like that meme of that miner that is mining and mining and the diamonds are there and it's very short. Do you know
Mm,
that little figure?
I know that.
But
Yeah.
the miner gives up and then walks away. So luckily I didn't walk away because my
Mm,
diamonds were really a few months ahead. So the adaptation of not having integrated or not having made an effort at the beginning to integrate into German culture,
mm,
um, kind of like hit me a few years afterwards because I hadn't made that effort.
mm,
And I think everyone's journey is super different because everyone needs to decide for themselves if Germany, again, is a stepping stone or the end goal. When
mm,
I arrived to Germany, I fell in love with the country and just how things are done here, despite
mm.
its issues. It's not a perfect country for sure.
Of course.
Um, but it was my end goal. So I was committed to Germany and the idea of living here.
Okay.
And I think one should put that also into perspective, right?
Okay. And did you have a moment after that when you thought like it's going to be better, whether a turning point, with a change of your career or meeting Yvonne? Did something special happen that that told you, okay, I'm now gonna be on the right track?
Yes, and that is meeting Ivonne actually,
Okay.
because when I was at this crossroads that I'm telling you about, I went to Guatemala for the first time after 4 years, and in Guatemala I felt this sense of home, which I
Mm,
hadn't felt in Europe for the past 4 years. I
yeah.
understood the language, I understood the cultural norms, I understood everything, and it
Yeah.
really felt like so easy, like,
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah.
God, and my childhood friends that know me, and it was so awesome. So when I came back to Germany, that's the moment where I'm like, okay, what am I doing here? Nothing has worked out. I'm going to leave.
Hmm.
And I kid you not, 3 days after I had decided that, I met Yvonne for the
Okay.
first time.
Okay. And this
So
was the
Yvonne was
turning
a
point.
massive catalyst. That was
Okay.
the turning point, yeah. Well,
Yeah.
not meeting Yvonne per se, because nothing happened when we met, but but a few months afterwards, that's when we started dating, and that
Yeah.
was a
But
turning point.
at least things started to feel better from this moment, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And another turning point for you was changing career again. So you was a customer support agent at that time. And then you said also to yourself, okay, this is not enough. I'm stuck here. I want to do something different. And you make a huge step. So I know about it, but probably the people who listen to us don't know about it. So I'm very excited to learn about your career shift.
Yes, so I had always wanted to learn to code, to be honest. I wanted to study, I had a desire to study computer science. And actually, shortly before my university started, my brother sat with me and says, like, you're making a mistake. You should study computer science and not hotel and restaurant management.
Hmm.
I didn't listen to him because at that time, computer science was this thing that only very nerdy men did. You
Yeah.
know, it wasn't it wasn't the internet that we know today.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
wasn't that big thing. So I saw it so far away. I'm like, no way, I'm gonna be like an engineer,
Mm.
you know? So fast forward to where I'm totally kind of like demotivated with my career in Germany. I realized that I didn't have a lot of language skills when it came to German.
Mm.
So if I wanted to move into a customer service role in Germany, I definitely needed to master German, or I needed to find a skill that German companies needed where German was not mandatory.
Mm.
And in that kind of like discovery of what could it be, I landed again on developers and web developers specifically. And I'm like, oh my God, it's all coming back like full circle, you know? So I told Yvonne about this, and she said, okay, so what are you going to do about it? Are you just going to talk about it, or are you going to take action? And I
Okay.
was like, okay, I guess I'm going to take action, right? Like if you tell me that way.
Yeah.
Like so I enrolled into an online boot camp. I think the boot camp doesn't exist anymore because this is
Mm.
what, like 12, 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
Okay.
And I enrolled for 6 months, and I was doing that in the evenings and on the weekends. And
Okay.
they, of course, like every boot camp, they promise at the end of this boot camp, you're going to be prepared to go into the market and find a
Yes.
job and all these things. I finished the boot camp, and that was not the case for me. I did not find a
Mm.
job immediately. I got rejected from every application that I sent,
Okay.
and it was very demotivating, to be honest.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I kept on learning. I kept on taking online courses. I kept on trying to learn, not trying, I actually learned every evening and on the weekends. And I
Mm.
convinced a friend from Guatemala who has her company is she's a destination wedding planner,
Mm.
and I convinced her, like, hey, can I build a website for you for my
Okay.
portfolio? And she said yes. And
Mm-hmm.
that project was like the most stressful project I had in my life. I
Okay.
remember I cried so much. I was like under so much stress. I had no idea what I was doing. The program didn't even teach me how to launch something, like how to put it online. So I had to
Yeah.
figure all that on my own. It was very frustrating, but I did it. And then in all these applications that I sent everywhere, one company answered and said, look, we don't
Wow.
have a web developer option open, but if you're open to it, you can be a trainee here.
Okay.
And I learned recently a term called like slingshot season, like you take a step back with
Okay.
the intention that when the slingshot like goes, you catapult 2 steps forward.
Yes.
So this traineeship position paid me, I think, even half of the salary that I had as a customer service representative, which wasn't
Mm.
much, by the way. But because I was already dating Yvonne and we were living together, her salary kind of like became the main salary, and mine was
Mm-hmm.
probably just for grocery shopping. And I became a trainee in this company, and I gave it my all. I studied also in the evenings because I realized during the workday I had no clue what I was doing.
Mm.
So I put a lot of effort. I did my absolute best, and in a year and a half, I got my junior title. So I was hired as a junior developer, and
Okay.
after that, it's just like snowballed into I gained more experience, more confidence. I loved what I was doing, and I found a new job in a corporation, and they paid me, I would say, maybe even double than what I was earning as a customer service representative.
Okay.
So it really paid off, I would say, with a lot of effort. But yeah, so that's how I transitioned into becoming a front-end developer.
Yes, very well said. Yeah. So taking a step back to go forward again, and of course, it must have been not an easy moment. So it took some courage to do this. So not everyone will do this because some people will say like, I don't want to make this step back. I want to go forward immediately. And for your case, if you didn't do this, you wouldn't have probably made this step forward.
Yes, and actually, now that you mentioned that,
Yeah.
during this crisis, I got a job as a customer service representative, but in
Okay.
Amsterdam. It was
Okay.
a really cool company, but it meant
Okay.
that I had to move to Amsterdam, or we had to move to Amsterdam with Ivonne. And we
Yeah.
talked about it with Ivonne, and she was also at a point of her career that she was growing,
Mm,
and she was not going to move to Amsterdam. So we said, okay, so either I take it and then we live in the middle, or we
mm,
commute, or I
mm,
commute. And I said no to that opportunity. It was a fantastic opportunity, but I said no. I'm committed to my here journey of becoming a developer.
mm,
Because also Yvonne asked me, okay, cool, you're gonna get that role again as a customer service representative, and then what's the growth trajectory, right? Like, what other opportunities will you have?
mm,
And I thought, okay, that is also a fair point. I rather than focus on that. And another friend also told me during this crisis, like, if you take the retirement age now in Germany, 67,
mm.
um, and you are currently at that time, I don't remember clearly, but let's say I was 31, right? How
Yeah.
many years of work do you have left? It's like
Yeah.
30 plus years. So
Yeah.
do you want to be frustrated for 30 plus years, or do you want to take a step back for like a year or two and
Yeah.
then have super happy 29 plus years?
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. Uh, so Jen, at this time, you didn't only leave your home country to Budapest and then to Germany. You didn't still uh, leave your main job as a customer support agent to do a boot camp and then an internship and then full-time work. But after that, after you had the full-time work as a developer, maybe a lot of people will say, okay, this is a perfect situation. I have a good career that I love, good income. I have a partner and I'm living in Germany. But you didn't say this is enough. You made also one step forward and you started doing online content. So to be maybe to say to be independent or willing to help others. So why did you make this step? Why didn't you say that's enough? I have already done a lot of hardships. I have already done a lot of a lot of things. Why did you make this extra step?
Yeah, very good question. So I kind of have the mentality that in order to grow as a person, I have to be evolving as a person and doing new things and exploring new things.
Mm,
And a second dream that I had, besides learning to code, and the reason why I wanted to learn to code was to be able to have my own company, a tech company. It was the
mm,
dream back in the day.
wow.
So the second dream that I had, well, I had multiple dreams, but one was migrating, then actually learning to code, and then was having my own company or a project that I could work on full time. And before Yvonne and I started simpleGermany, we actually tried, I think, 12 different ideas of things that we could do.
Mm,
And all of them failed. Either they failed because they were completely like bad, or because we realized this is not the way we want to go.
mm,
Just to give you an example, we wanted to create like a travel app, but that
mhm,
involved or meant that we would be a startup. We needed investor money. We needed to hire a team to be able to
mm,
grow, and we didn't want to go down that route.
mm,
So in all that process, we landed on the idea of, like, I struggle so much when I arrived here. I wish I would have had someone to explain to
mm,
me the unwritten rules, like,
mm,
how does this society work? Like, how do they think? If someone could just take 5 seconds to tell me that.
mm,
And so I'm like, well, maybe, we can be that for others. Because I kind of like already know the unspoken, not everything, but a few of the
mm,
unspoken rules. So maybe we can open that door, so to speak.
mhm,
And that's how we started simpleGermany. And the reason really was because, yes, like you mentioned, the flexibility and time flexibility to work on your own project and do kind of like what you want without having to create a ticket or write a story or go into a
mm,
sprint with a bunch of people is pretty cool.
mhm,
But additional of that, to be able to help, right? Like the others that might be new in my situation that I was,
mm,
and
mm,
to make them feel less alone, and that it's okay if you feel sad today, because it is
mhm,
freaking hard to move.
mhm,
But to keep that goal in mind, what do you want and why are you here? We always like
Mm,
to say, remember your why are you here?
mm,
And if that is not strong enough, then you have to reevaluate it, right?
mm,
Um,
mhm. And can you tell us about the current goals of your platform of Simple Germany? I see some offline events are happening right now. I see also there is some focus on jobs and job marketing, finding jobs. I think you have a program to help people like get used to the job market. So it's also opportunity to tell us what are your current activities. What's the focus right now of Simple Germany?
Yeah, so like everything evolves. So we started originally with just a website for content. Then we opened or we started our YouTube channel,
Mm,
which has been amazing. And now we're in a stage where we just released a brand new thing called what we call with Ivonne Simple Germany Academy. And our
okay.
vision for Simple Germany Academy is really to have it's a learning hub that has mini courses on specific topics
Mm,
that whoever wants to learn about a specific topic can just go there, purchase the course and get that shortcut, get the
mm,
unspoken rules that I've been talking about as quickly as possible. So
okay.
our very first course, which is the one that you just mentioned, is called Get Hired, and that is
Mm,
targeted to developers and techies who are looking for a job in Germany. Next course that's coming up is about recycling. Is recycling made simple, which is all
okay.
the ins and outs of recycling, because I struggled a lot with recycling. And
Mhm,
to this day, it's like, yeah, where do I throw this? But now that we're doing the course, now I feel like I'm a Bible of recycling. So if you have
mhm.
recycling questions, I'm happy to answer. Down the line, we also want to create more courses, for example, for the rules of cycling, the rules of driving, because a lot of internationals can swap their driver's license,
Mhm.
but they never get like any information like how to
Yeah,
drive in
yeah.
Germany.
Mhm,
So our vision for Simple Germany is not only to be content, but to be really a learning hub that internationals who are eager to get that shortcut can go there and learn as quickly as possible.
mhm, mhm. And you are also doing with Yvonne offline events right now, like in this time. Like, um, do you have things to share? Why did you do this? Why did you not just be online? Did you need to meet the people physically? What's going on in these events?
Well, actually, we're not running offline events at the moment. We
Yeah,
did last year.
yeah.
Last year, we had a few meetups that we hosted in Dusseldorf. We
Okay,
hosted 6 meetups in total. And
okay.
that was, yeah, an opportunity to connect with our community, to meet people face to face, to hear the stories firsthand. Because as an online content creator, sometimes the conversation feels very distant in a way, right? Because we receive a comment, we reply to a comment, and kind of like the conversation fades off. Versus in a one to one, like how we're doing now, we can talk more freely and feel more connected. So
Mhm.
it was a space to be able to connect with our audience. And we did that last year. This year, we didn't host any in person events, or that's
Okay.
not true. We hosted one meetup in Berlin.
Mhm.
And right now, we're playing it by ear. Whenever there's an offline a need for doing something offline, we announce it to our newsletter, Instagram, YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, and now maybe quite a general question, because also I think some of our audience will be people who still in their home countries and they are thinking about Germany as an international destination to move. Do you recommend people to come to Germany with a new also changes in the citizenship law? Is it now like more exciting than ever to be here, to be in Germany? One of the things also I heard from the counselor himself that Germany has to be an immigrant destination right now, just like America or Canada before that. Um, what do you tell people who are outside now and looking to come to Germany?
So if you ask me, I am a Germany fangirl. That's what Yvonne calls me. I absolutely love this country with its flaws. I absolutely love it. So if you ask me, yes, for sure. However, there's a big however. You need to understand kind of like the impact that decision will have in your life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's very important to be very open minded to the change and
Mm-hmm.
very open minded to learn the language. That was a massive mistake I did. I didn't focus on the language at all in the first years because, like I mentioned, I had my international small family that we all spoke English.
Mm-hmm.
However, and then after all these years, I've been in Germany now 12 years, I think.
Okay.
I speak the language. I don't think I will ever. I don't know if one is ever 100% integrated because there's always something new, you know.
Of course.
But I feel so comfortable in Germany. Really, I can joke with my neighbors. I see Germans laughing and having fun, and I think, wow. I for the longest time thought that they were like super grumpy and like cold and distant,
Mhm.
but they're really warm human beings. um, and of course, there's gonna be a rude person here and there, you know. But the same can happen anywhere in the world. And as an immigrant, I think one kind of needs to have a thick skin to not fall directly into the, oh, because I'm an immigrant, people are treating me this way kind of attitude, but
Mm.
more of like, okay, this was a bad incident, move on.
Mhm.
Um, but that is, I think, as an immigrant, it can happen anywhere,
Yeah.
whether it's Germany or you go to France or you go to the US, also a lot of discrimination there, or whether you go to Canada. So, but yes, I think Germany is just freaking great, to be honest.
Yeah. That's great. Okay, so last thing, do you have anything to share to tell people? Anything exciting coming up? Anything you want to as a last thing to say?
As the last, wow, that feels like the last thing to say is, well, first of all, I want to say thank you for inviting me to this
Sure.
podcast and kudos for starting your project. I do believe we need a lot more creators to uh, s- speak of our experiences of living in Germany and teach
Hmm.
others and help others. The bigger our community grows in terms of people creating, I think the more comfortable people can feel also in this country.
Mm.
So first of all, kudos for that. And as the last thing is, that's a very good question. Well, check Simple Germany out. You can do
Okay,
so
sure.
through our YouTube and website, and you can check our
Yeah.
Simple Germany Academy if you're curious about any courses that we might have, and yeah, and follow us for to keep up to date.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jen, very much. Of course, all the links to Simple German YouTube channel, to the website, you will find under the video or with the audio if you are hearing on podcast audio platform. Thank you very much, Jen. It was a lot of fun, and see you.
Thank you very much, Mohamed, for having me. Have a great day.